Okay, now without further ado, you voted for it. This scene is going to be the scene where Jesus comes back tired after healing a lot of people.
What keeps putting you in authority? Who are you to forgive or not to forgive?
Yeah.
What, you're on his side? No, of course not, but you've had your problems too. What about apologizing for what you almost did to us with the Romans?
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and also welcome if you are new. I'm so grateful to have you all here. So my name is AkuaB and here on this channel I cover all things faith, culture and encouragement, and in today's video, as you can tell from the title, I'm going to be doing something quite different from what I usually do, but I cannot wait to get into it. I'm so excited. But before I get into that, I just want to quickly encourage you, as per usual, to leave a like down below on today's video and also comment something that you're enjoying from it, or just leave your 2 cents, leave your opinions and your comments and your deductions from what I'm reacting to and the Bible study / scene analysis that comes with it. Also, if you haven't already, then please make sure that you have subscribed to this channel and also turn on that notification bell so you never miss a new upload. And trust me, there's some scene analysis that you do not want to miss. There's some great scenes that we've all loved on The Chosen and I cannot wait to get into them in further scene analysis and Bible study. So make sure that you click that notification bell so you never miss one of those. Also, quick plug to my Instagram, make sure you're following me over there at S02E03 or at AkuaB, and that is just a further extension of what I do here on YouTube with more faith, culture and encouragement on a more daily and consistent basis. Okay, now without further ado, you voted for it. This scene is going to be the scene where Jesus comes back tired after healing a lot of people, and this scene is just super raw, super deep, and I remember the first time watching it just being like taken away, and I was just speechless. I just genuinely had no words for it, and I think that scene took us all so off guard because we were so caught up in the drama and what was going on and the ins and outs of each episode that we, even as the audience, kind of got to the point where the disciples were at, where they were sat kind of bickering and all of these different things apart from the focused mission that Jesus was on, and Jesus was never distracted in that way. So I think it's gonna be quite interesting to just have a refresher and re-watch this scene and look at it with fresh eyes. I've only watched it once, so it'll be fun going back through these scenes to actually have a new perspective on it and see how my feelings towards it now, after having pondered on it and just rested for a while and done further Bible study on it, might change or be more enriched in my second viewing. So without further ado, let's get straight into the reaction. Not sure what to expect.
One time when my parents were asleep, I had meat with cheese just to see what I was missing. Have you ever done that? I feel too guilty.
You feel guilty about everything. Right after you were born, you said sorry to Ima for causing her pain.
Forget the guilt. I was sick for days. I haven't violated a single food rule since.
I tried pork once.
Oh.
We were traveling and we were in a Gentile marketplace and I just grabbed a piece.
Really?
Oh, it was marvelous.
One time on the boat, we were approaching a Shabbat sunset. Abba and John had finished their tasks, and I still had to put my fish in the barrels because I had so many.
No, it's because you were going too slow. Because you're too careful.
No, it was because I had so many.
Okay.
So you have to put them away, obviously, before the sun sets, or they'll rot the next day, and you can't clean them during Shabbat. So I started yelling to the others, "Hey, come on, help me!" No. They just laughed at me and walked home.
I had to work so hard and so fast, I ended up spilling some of the fish back in the water.
But I finished just in time. And I was breathing so hard, I vomited on the shore. You had to wait 2 whole days to clean it up.
Sorry.
I've grown to love being Jewish, and I've grown to love following the law, but it can be exhausting.
Following the law or being Jewish?
Both.
It always has been. Even before the occupation.
Yes, but aren't we used to it by now? Hasn't it made us stronger?
I don't get it, if I'm honest. I don't know why God has allowed the occupation. I'll have to ask him more about that. Why this has been allowed for so long. It's hard to feel like the chosen people. I've been there.
But it's all worth it now, yes. The wait is over.
Such an interesting point how there's still that tension and friction, and obviously we're going to see it progress and build up in this next scene, but they still have that pain and angst, hurt and resentment just, you know, lingering in their heart. And even though things have changed with the Messiah, with Jesus coming onto the scene and them having a personal relationship with him, they're still holding on to that. And it's nice to see the way that it, not the burden lessens, but the way that they see things from a different perspective as the season progresses.
What about you?
What do you mean?
Has it been difficult for you all this time? The occupation, following Jewish law.
My life has not been easy.
Oh, it hasn't. What was more painful for you?
Oh no.
Escaping?
No. Yeah, I think having watched the whole season, and it kind of, I apologise for the clicking by the way, I need a new lens, but just seeing the relationship between Mathew and Simon develop, and the way that Simon just keeps on egging on this relationship of, like, you know, the kind of awkwardness and the resentment between the relationship. He keeps kind of digging it back up, and he's definitely one that it's like rooted in him, like this passion against what Mathew used to be tied to and associated with. And just his acting is so good, the actor. It's so like gaslighting, and he's really feeling passionately against Mathew, like,
Roman persecution by working for them, or escaping your guilt with all the money? And now you're catching up on Torah and wanting to follow the law. Why now all of a sudden? Why not all the other times you had the chance?
Simon?
No, John, I want to know. Mary had horrible trauma. She didn't choose all that happened to her. What's your excuse?
What do you want me to say? I don't know what you want from me.
An apology.
What?
Simon's not wrong. You can be more delicate about it, but you did choose to work for them. And you made my life even harder than it already was.
All of the different perspectives that are coming up, because we've obviously seen Mary, mother of Jesus, walk in with, I think it's small James or little James, but you've seen them walk in, and even Mary's face beforehand, it was just like, oh, this is like tension brewing, not really wanting to get involved. And then the others are actually pitching in with Simon, and obviously they were just talking about the Jewish laws that they had to upkeep and how hard and difficult it was. And now the spotlight has been placed on Mathew, and he's kind of the outsider, the reject of the Jewish community because of the path he chose in being a tax collector and kind of being affiliated with the Romans by choice. So with them kind of talking about the Jewish law, they're still kind of in that mindset of legalism, whereas like Jesus has called them out of that and has said, like, you're all equal. I chose you all to be my disciples for a reason, and there's none of you that's better than another. But yeah, I'm glad they've kind of progressed that in the season and they've not left it here, because even though it's nice to see this contrition in their relationship, Jesus has called them out of that. And sometimes you do get ugly parts like this that show up in relationship, especially when you come from two different experiences.
And you haven't apologized.
No, don't say it. I don't want you to apologize. It doesn't matter. What would hearing him say sorry do? I won't forgive it anyway.
What keeps putting you in authority?
Who are you to forgive or not to forgive?
Yeah.
But you're on his side? No, of course not, but you've had your problems too. What about apologizing for what you almost did to us with the Romans?
I didn't go through with it. I was trying to save my family's life, and I love you, John, but that...
It's interesting also how from the Old Testament, obviously with, would you call it rabbinic law, but like with the Jewish law in the Old Testament, it's all about keeping a standard with the 613 laws. Whereas with the New Testament, Jesus even says this is a misinterpretation, and instead of being legalistic like this, even to hate your brother is having committed murder. Having lusted after a woman in your heart is to have committed adultery. So it really takes things to the root. So even having not done the action but have had that passion and desire in your heart is even against God and is a trespassing of the law. So it's really interesting how they hold themselves to different standards in their own hearts and minds because of what they've done and what they haven't done.
It's not something you have to worry about when Zeb and Salome are looking out for you. But you put me in a desperate position where I did things I would never have done otherwise. And I've repented for them. And John and James, I am sorry, but I didn't go through with it.
What is your excuse? I was a successful businessman, and yet I was always behind.
He wasn't your tax collector.
Quit defending him. I want an answer.
Hey, you're new.
Do you even know what it's like to be Jewish? To suffer for centuries and centuries because of it, but to still commit to it? To protect our heritage even though it never stops being painful, because the one comfort we have is to know that we're doing it together. That we're all suffering together. But if we just wait a little longer, if we hold tight just a little more, we'll have rescue, because we're chosen, all of us. And you betrayed that, and you spit on it. I can't forgive it. I'll never forgive it.
All right. You said what you needed to say. Sit down, Simon.
You sit down first.
Oh.
Good night.
Oof. Oof, oof, oof. I cannot imagine how it must have been to cultivate that scene and to really capture the emotion of that scene. Oof. It got to such a crescendo, like the climax of that scene, with them all pitching in their 2 cents and really trying to get into each other's heads and really, you know, just attack each other basically. Simon was kind of using Mathew as this figurehead for every evil and atrocity of the Romans and all of the occupation and everything that, you know, negatively influenced his life. And then they were kind of picturing themselves as these, you know, chosen people who were so abused and mistreated and, you know, down on their time, and they were really going at him collectively from their own experiences and how they thought of the Romans and things like that. And then Jesus just walks in like absolutely knackered, panting even, like he truly fully gave himself. And he just going back into the scripture and like reading it, as we will in the next part of this video, there must have been so many people, and obviously word must have spread. He was there all day, and like they were even just taking shifts to, you know, just see how things were going, to manage the crowd and things like that. But he was there all day. Like, oh, what a scene. Ooh. Just shows how we have a physical body as well. Like he was fully human to get tired. Ooh.
Thank you.
It's so quickly just like a vacuum. Everything else doesn't matter anymore when you have that silence. And I love that not a word is spoken here, and everybody, you can just see the emotion and the whole scene, like the whole, you know, the purpose of what the scene is trying to convey on the actors' faces. You can just feel it, the guilt, the I can just feel a sense of like being selfish, like this isn't about us, this isn't about me, this is about the Messiah, and like he's come and we have a mission to focus on. And instead of being distracted by our own dissonance within our relationship, this is what we can focus on that will make us closer. There's no there's no difference under Christ. We're all equal, we're all the same. And I think him walking back in just made them all refocus onto that instead of focusing on each other's imperfections. Because it's so easy to see others' imperfections and flaws rather than look at yourself and see the flaws and mistakes and sins within yourself.
You got blood on your hands. One more. There we go.
I'm a mess. Good. What would I do without you, Ima?
Get some sleep.
Okay. I'm so tired. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings sleep to my eyes,
Wow.
slumber to my eyelids.
Oh, and we'll talk about this, why I have such a strong reaction to that, because we can get so caught up with, I'm so tired, I've got such a busy schedule, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't fit this in, I can't fit that in. He has time to pray and prioritizes prayer over physical rest because he knows that that is the priority in life. It's not these physical, tangible things that we can change and shift from day to day. It's the spiritual that really, really matters.
Lord my God, and God of my ancestors, that I lie down in peace, and that I arise in peace.
Wow. That's like a perfect ending. That's exactly what it needed. Just that silence. I love how the silence filters to the end credits, because it's kind of like not just the characters, the disciples sat around the fire were left in silence and awe, but the audience as well were just left in reflection. Okay, so I've just shifted a bit closer to the camera because daylight is slipping away from me and I really want to get this next juicy part of the video out. So now I'm just going to quickly read through the scripture that I'm going to be quoting, and then I'm going to go through my Bible study, which is from the commentary of David Guzik called Enduring Word, and there's also an app for it named the same, Enduring Word. I'm just going to quickly read from verses 29 through to 39 of Mark chapter 1, and then I'm just going to take you through the small segment that deals with the healing and go through the Bible verses that pertain to that. So it says, as soon as they left the synagogue, they went with James and John to the home of Simon and Andrew. Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they immediately told Jesus about her. So he went to her, took her hand and helped her up. The fever left her and she began to wait on them. That evening, after sunset, the people brought Jesus all the sick and demon-possessed. The whole town gathered at the door. and Jesus healed many who had various diseases. He also drove out many demons, but he would not let the demons speak because they knew who he was. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Simon and his companions went to look for him, and when they found him, they exclaimed, "Everyone is looking for you." Jesus replied, "Let us go somewhere else, to the nearby villages, so I can preach there also. This is why I have come." So he travelled throughout Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and driving out demons. Okay, so in Enduring Word, David Guzik talks through the verses that we've just mentioned. The episode was actually called Mathew 4:24, I believe, but that same story or anecdote is also captured in 3 Gospels. It's in Matthew, Mark and Luke. So I'm going to be reading through Mark because that is the one that I've been reading this past week. So this happens just after he's healed Peter's mother-in-law. So 2 key points that I just want to quickly focus in on is how David Guzik says that he was obviously free from the restrictions of the Sabbath, and that is how he was able to heal people. So the first thing I want to point out is that he says Jesus worked very hard to serve the needs of others and always put their needs before his. So Jesus needs rest, he needs his downtime, you know, he's 100% human as 100% God. But in this scene specifically, we see that he's absolutely worn down, he's knackered, he's just healed so many people, and it says that basically like a whole city of people gathered at this door, at Peter's mother-in-law's door, because they heard of the news of Jesus and his healing and his miracles and signs and wonders. So they've gathered to get healing, and Jesus hasn't been dismissive, he's like wanted to meet their needs. So that's the first thing, that he's going to put other people before himself, and we really see that servant-heartedness of Jesus within this, and the fact that he's very humble and selfless. And I watched a video from Alan Parr today, and he said that being humble wasn't really thinking of yourself in a demeaning way and putting yourself down, but it was actually just thinking of yourself less. So it's being selfless, like that's what selflessness is, and humility. So then after that, he says, talking about verse 35, where it's telling us that Jesus went to pray in a solitary place. We saw that briefly captured in the scene straight after he walks into the camp of the disciples. He kind of goes into his tent just after his mother, Mary, has given him like a quick wipe down after he's been out all day. And he goes into his tent, and before he even puts his head down, he's praying, and he's really connecting with God the Father before he sleeps. And he puts that before his physical need for rest. He puts his spiritual needs first. And I think that's just such a great example of like the life of Jesus and the life that he's trying to exemplify for us, because it's so easy to get caught up in our physical body's needs, because that's what is so present for us and tangible. If you're very tired, you want to sleep. If your stomach is grumbling and you're fasting, you're like, oh, I want to eat. If, you know, you're bored during a seminar or something like that, then you're like, oh, let me leave, I need to just go nap or something. But he's putting his spiritual needs before the physical ones. And then another point I really like from David Guzik's commentary is pertaining to his perspective on the relationship between God the Father and Jesus. And he says that Jesus knew that pressure and busyness should drive us towards prayer and not away from prayer. So that is so important. Like I was saying, we can find it so easy to slide into different habits and do different things just out of convenience, out of busyness, but really our perspective should be a spiritual one, and that should be our focus, because that is the most important thing that we should be making a priority. Okay, and then the last thing I just want to quickly go across is the last section from verses 36 to 39, where he talks about the disciples going up to Jesus and being like, everyone's looking for you, come on, let's go. And he just says, let us go into the next towns that I may preach there also, because for this purpose I have come forth. So they've kind of just been like, the disciples are kind of being pushed by the crowd, they're being influenced by the external, and Jesus is like, no, this is my central mission and this is where I'm going. I'm not following the crowd, I'm not looking for the attention of the crowd, I'm not looking for the, you know, that exaltation that the crowd will give me for this period of time whilst I'm healing them. That isn't my goal. My goal isn't to be, you know, isn't to gain that affirmation from them for what I do. It's just to spread the gospel, to spread the message, and to, you know, continue forth with his mission into these other towns. And whilst I was reading this, it just made me think of how Jesus has already done what he needed to do if people are searching for him in a place that he's been mentioned and, you know, that his name has been discovered. He has already done his work there. If there's a place that doesn't yet know about him, that is where he's going to go. That is the place that needs him. So that place, they've had him and now they want him. They've had their needs met, but he's now going to a different place to meet other people's needs. And I think that's so important, to be able to know when to move on and when to be invested into something, and then also when to leave that and know that it's okay and to move on. So this is what Jesus did. He moved across, and he didn't, as David Guzik says, his ministry wasn't about being famous or enjoying the fame. There was a clear emphasis on Jesus's ministry in preaching. So his emphasis was never to gain the affirmation and attention of the crowd. It was always to just spread the gospel, do the work needed to be done in his ministry, and then move on to another place that needed it also. Okay, so now this room is like super mega dark, so I'm just going to try and end this video here and maybe alter the brightness of this video. But I really wanted to get something out for you guys, and I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, then please make sure to leave a like down below, and also comment what you enjoyed, or comment your own deductions from this scene analysis / Bible study, and I will hope to see you in my next one. Please make sure that you have subscribed to this channel if you haven't already, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss another one. And I'll catch you in my next one. Stay blessed and bye.